Hey, it's Coach Jamila, and I'm a transformation life coach serving highly successful women executives and entrepreneurs. And today I'm talking about the number one toxic relationship you may have in your life. And that number one toxic relationship is with yourself. That's right. If you are a woman who is constantly engaging in negative self-talk, and mind you, it's not deliberate. Okay, it's not even something you may even be completely conscious of or doing on purpose. It's just the way your mind works. But if it's constantly browbeating you, nitpicking you, second guessing everything you say, all your decisions, when you look in the mirror, all you can do is see your flaws, and you're just constantly complaining about yourself and what you need to do, what you should do, what you haven't done. And it's just always negative all the time. That's toxicity. But here's the problem. Unlike if you were in a relationship with another person and they were engaging in this behavior where you can escape them at some point, some hours during the day, you're with you 24/7, 365 days a year. There is no escape. So always in here is an abusive voice, a verbally and emotionally abusive voice tearing you down. Now, how far do you think you're going to get with that kind of rhetoric going on in your mind? Now, let me flip it to you, because on the other side of it, remember I said highly successful. So that same voice has pushed you and caused you to be driven and to go beyond yourself and to do more and to overcome. So it has pushed you to actually accomplish some really good things. You have succeeded in a lot of ways. But your personal life, your relationships, that's where you're now going to start seeing how this negative voice is not serving you at all. And even in your career, even the success that you've had, it never quite feels enough, does it? That promotion never quite hits the nail on the head of that sense of satisfaction or happiness you were hoping for. That extra zero at the end of your check in front of the decimal didn't quite give you that sense of wholeness that you thought it would. You'd worked so hard, you achieved it, and then it's like, oh, nothing changed about how I feel about me. And that's because that voice hasn't changed. That voice is still telling you you're not good enough, you're ugly, you're fat, you're not smart enough, no one cares. And it's just constantly running in your mind and just really, really, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, very, very low. Okay. Now, you can absolutely step out there confidently in your business or your job or whatever, because those are skills. And you are good at what you do. I know how to do that because I'm a good student. I can learn, right? I can grasp new concepts and implement them, right? So I know what I'm doing when it comes to these tasks, when it comes to these skills, when I'm playing this game. You know how to win. But when it comes to relationships, now that's when we start to see the struggle, because if the number one relationship you have, and that's with yourself, is toxic, how could you ever have a healthy relationship with anyone else? And it's very important, if you're a parent, that you nip this in the bud, especially if you're a woman, that has daughters, because they're going to emulate your example. And you may not ever say it to them, but they can feel it. They can pick up on it. They hear what you say to yourself in the mirror. They hear what you say, oh, I'm so stupid, or oh, this and that. They pick up on that. And they'll start to say those things to themselves. So it's very important, the relationship that we have with ourselves. If we really ever want to be happy, if we really ever want to experience success in the truest sense of feeling that sense of satisfaction inside, we've got to be okay with us. Because it's not the thing out there. It's not the job, the promotion, the business, the money that's ever going to give us something that resonates from within. Happiness comes from in here. It resonates outward. It doesn't come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out. And so if you're constantly focused on things outside of yourself, looking for that to bring you some type of happiness and satisfaction, you're always going to continue to struggle. So we've established that this negative voice in your head is so intensely critical to tame it in order to succeed in your relationships. You got all roads lead back to you. If you find that you are struggling in relationships with men, you keep finding yourself getting with toxic guys. They, all look different color hair, different, maybe slightly personality differences, whatever. But the relationship seems to always end up the same. And it never really seems to flow exactly the way you are hoping it will. There's a reason why you're drawing that toxicity to you. It's a reason why you're attracted to it. It's because it's familiar. And its roots are in childhood. That's where all this stuff that we end up struggling with as adults when we hit our late 30s and 40s and beyond. And we're like, what is this that's gunk running in my head? It's all that stuff. Yeah, we just get old enough to finally realize it's time to go back and clean it up. It would be nice if it wasn't there, but it's okay because we managed to get here to where we are today, right? And now you can do the work and with the self-awareness and make the corrections. Now, it's very important that you tackle this because again, your relationships, all of these toxic things that you're experiencing have their roots, like I said, in your childhood. Then you carried them forth in your own thinking, and then you continue to attract it because it's what's familiar to you. Your mind, all it knows is toxicity and dysfunction. It's like, oh, we do this all day long. Let's do it some more, girl. This is fun, right? Now, consciously, you're going, no, that's not what I want at all. I can't stand it. But it's what you know. See, the mind is not attracted to what's good for you. It's just what's familiar. So the key is to make what's good for you familiar instead of what's toxic for you familiar. But if your mind is constantly in a brain loop of toxicity, then that's what you're used to. That's what your normal is. But here's the good news. It can change. Yes, you absolutely can break the pattern. Yes, you absolutely can identify the roots in your childhood and acknowledge it and release it and get rid of it and move forward. And one of the best ways to start is when you catch yourself thinking these negative things about yourself, catch yourself in the moment and write it down. When these negative thoughts jump into your head, write it down. Okay? And I want you to start keeping a list. And the reason is because one of the first ways to really start creating change within yourself is self-awareness. I kind of mentioned that before, self-awareness. You can't change anything that you have not acknowledged or are not aware of is an actual problem or issue. And so if you begin to shine a light in the dark corners of your mind by writing it down every time you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, then pretty soon you'll be able to catch yourself before it even comes out of your mouth. You'll catch yourself going down that road mentally and go, nope, we're not going there. Because then what I want you to do after you start catching yourself saying these negative things, because it's not new things, it's kind of the same things over and over. And so once you kind of have a list and you're noticing, okay, I've caught myself saying this more than once, then it's time to go back over that list. And now it's time to come up with some different ways, some different phraseology around those negative thoughts. And so let's say, for example, you're constantly saying, ugh, my body, I'm so fat, whatever. You keep telling yourself you're fat, whether you are or aren't, you're always going to feel fat, and you're never going to be motivated to stick to any sort of diet or weight loss plan because you told yourself you're going to fail because you're fat. That's it. So I'm using that as an example. So then what you want to do, if that's your thought, I'm so fat, I'm fat. You want to reframe that so that the next time you catch yourself going down that road is, no, my body is amazing. I created and gave birth to 3 beautiful children. My body is incredible. It carried life. Whatever it is. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a reason why you are in the condition that you're in. So find a why are you in that state, right? And then reframe it. So then when you catch yourself going that way, you can go, nope, my body's amazing. I've created 3 beautiful babies, all that. So that's where you want to take your mind. See, what you're doing is your mind is so used to going down this negative road as you're going, you're putting the brakes on, you know, no, we're not going that way. We're going this way. And your mind's going to go, yeah, but I want to go the familiar. And so over time, through repetition, you will start going in the right direction. And that's the whole point. Remember, you didn't start saying these negative phrases to yourself yesterday. You know, you've been saying these things to yourself for years. And so it is going to take repetition, because that's how we learn, in order to undo that. Doesn't mean that it's going to take, like if you're 40 years to undo it. No, it's not. However, it is something that you're going to now have to be mindful of, okay? You have to be mindful of it. Just in the same way, if you wanted to stay healthy physically, you have to continue to exercise. You have to have a regular routine. The same thing is if you want to stay healthy in your thinking. You have to have a daily routine whereby you get your thoughts in order. You take control of your mind and you direct it in where you want it to go. And that's in a direction that helps you and speaks positive and encouraging things to you, not browbeating and tearing down in toxicity, okay? So now let's try another one. Let's say, for example, something you say to yourself is that you feel that you're unlovable. You know, you're just like, nobody wants me, nobody loves me. If that's something that you constantly say to yourself, you know, especially if you're experiencing turmoil in a romantic relationship where it just ended, then when that thought, see, here it goes, catch yourself. I am so worthy and deserving of love. The right person is on the way. I am just getting ready. You like that? You see how that feels differently? So start doing that with yourself. Start catching yourself going down the negative road and flipping it into something positive. And again, you got to have paper and pencil involved in this, or pen involved in this, because that's the only way you're ever really going to recognize is when you get it down and you see it, then you can create a new phrase around it. And when you write that new phrase, I want you to say it out loud to yourself in the mirror like 3 times. Really let it sit in your body. Feel it, right? And get used to it and comfortable with it, so that when that negative thought comes up, you remember, you know, you're not like running, I gotta get my paper, I don't remember what I'm supposed to say to myself. You know, you kind of want to know what it is, so that when it pops up, you can immediately go down that positive road. Does that make sense? I hope it does, and I hope you found this helpful, because the relationship you have with yourself affects every other relationship that you have in your life. And I want you to be healthy mentally, in your mind, within yourself, so that you can have the relationship that you want to have, whether that be getting married again, you know, if you've been through a divorce or a heartbreak, whether you just simply want to feel good in your own skin and be happy with yourself, or feel confident and do the things that you want to do. Maybe you have a dream that you've been holding back from because you have just browbeated yourself so much that you're afraid to kind of take risks, because you're so afraid you might fail, because you're so afraid of what people might think and say and do, and that they're going to laugh at you when that's not going to happen at all. And even if it did, you wouldn't die. You'd be perfectly fine, and you wouldn't be the first person to ever fail. The point is that the only person that's ever holding us back from anything that we really want to have or receive, even our own happiness, our own mental health, our own joy and all those things, the only person ever standing in the way is us. And so we got to get out of our own way at some point, because we're the ones that are blocking the receiving. Does that make sense? So I know that I've said a lot in this video, and there are some of you that will take that and be like, yes, that little nugget, and be able to start working on some of these things yourself. But what I do as a transformation life coach is I help my clients do this and a whole host of other things in a very short amount of time, in 12 weeks. And we work together one-on-one, and the coaching I provide is unlimited, so they have unlimited access to me during that time. Because when you start kind of digging around into these areas and trying to heal yourself emotionally and address some of these things that you've been struggling with, it can be a little scary, a little daunting. And especially because you are a strong woman, it can be hard to Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to admit your weaknesses, and to not immediately try to get into that tough girl mode and I'm just going to push through. And it's like, we're not about to do that. You are not about to strong arm yourself into healing up in here. You can't do it anyway. It doesn't work. You can't rah-rah yourself through healing. You have to go through it to be healed. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you have a cut on your arm, you can't yell at it, heal, heal, get up and heal. That is not going to make it heal any faster. You have to clean it. You got to put a little, maybe some Neosporin or whatever, and a Band-Aid on it. Or if it's not that deep, whatever the case is, you have to treat it. You have to address it. You have to acknowledge that it exists, then address it appropriately, and then allow it to heal. And it will. But if you're just yelling at it, that's not going to heal it. Now you're just yelling at a wound. And so a lot of us are just yelling at our emotions and thinking somehow we're going to end up happier. And that's not going to be the case. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, found some value, please, by all means, like, comment, share with a friend who needed to hear this. If you have any questions about it or want to kind of let me know what your experience was with this exercise, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Coach Jamila LV. And by all means, again, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you here.